Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Malinga Sise of Herb and Harvest Organic Farm. For all of you who have subscribed to my YouTube channel, I am so grateful. And for those who are still new, please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Today I'm super excited because we have finally ended our month of July. You know, the month of July was a month of answering the questions, making videos based on your own request. And this month we are going to be a bit more serious about this project, and we are still tackling the poultry diseases. So I want you to know all the types of poultry diseases and how you can treat them organically, because as a beginner, if you cannot differentiate these diseases, guys, it is really so dangerous. And poultry diseases is really so bad for this project, and you can end up failing this project because of these diseases. So today we are going to look at the chronic respiratory diseases, that is the CRD, and how they can spread in our poultry farms, signs and symptoms of these diseases, how you can prevent and protect your birds from getting these chronic respiratory diseases, and then the organic treatment for these chronic respiratory diseases. So for today, stay tuned till the end. But if you're still new, please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Click on the notification bell so that you never miss out any upload. Share this video, comment in the comment section down below, and I'll be so grateful. See you right back. So today we are looking at the chronic respiratory diseases. In short, you can call it the CRD. And by the way, these CRD are very dangerous in this project, because if you don't handle it well or treat it well, even if you sell off those birds, trust me that you can still carry on the disease to the next flock. Because if you don't disinfect the house well, if you don't clean the drinkers and the feeders well, the disease will still carry on to the next flock. That is why we farmers should be very serious and careful about this disease, and we should protect our birds from getting these chronic respiratory diseases. So the chronic respiratory diseases, these are diseases that can affect the respiratory system of the chicken, and it can be caused by bacteria, by fungi, by parasite, or even by the viruses. That is why sometimes it will really be very important to vaccinate these broilers and the layers, because some of these viral diseases can also cause the chronic respiratory diseases. So it can also lead to a decrease in egg production in layers, and it can be transmitted from the eggs to the chicks. So that is why still I say this disease is really so dangerous, because imagine if a bird has it and it lays the egg, the egg also carries the disease. So that is why we should really be very careful about this disease. And also in the broiler farming, the broilers that are affected by this chronic respiratory disease, by the way, are not supposed to be consumed. So please, broiler farmers out there, if your birds are affected by the chronic respiratory diseases, make sure that you don't sell it to the public to consume it. So what are some of the signs and symptoms of these chronic respiratory diseases? The signs, sometimes, by the way, the signs can confuse you with the signs and symptoms for the infectious coryza. But here you will find that the chicken will have wheezy sound when breathing. Okay, when you start hearing those wheezy sound when your birds are breathing, just know they have been attacked by the chronic respiratory diseases. Even some birds will end up having watery eyes and a watery nose. That is also another sign of the chronic respiratory diseases. And it can also lead to weight loss in our birds. So if you see your bird is losing weight, just know you're being hit by the chronic respiratory diseases. And then another sign is the stunted growth. Guys, if you see your birds are not growing, your layers are not growing, your broilers are not growing, and yet you're giving them even the right feed, first think twice. They might be having the chronic respiratory diseases. The chicken will also be so depressed and so stressed. So it is also another sign of this chronic respiratory diseases. And in the birds which are already laying eggs, trust me that they will decrease in the egg production. And then another sign is there will also be a decrease in the feed consumption because the bird is so depressed, the bird is so stressed, that bird will end up not feeding. And then also another sign is that the chicken will also be unable to move. You'll find that that chicken cannot move. The chicken is already weak. The legs are already so, the legs are so crippled that they cannot move. So all those are signs and symptoms of this chronic respiratory disease. So as a farmer, if you see your bird, even if only one, having one of these signs and symptoms, don't relax, act immediately and start the treatment right away. So how do we prevent the chronic respiratory diseases in our poultry farms? One of the ways that you can prevent this chronic respiratory disease is to make sure that you get your chicks from a trusted source, because we've all seen that this disease can even transfer from the eggs to the chicks. So if you don't get your chicks from trusted sources, trust me that you might bring these chronic respiratory diseases in your poultry farms. And then another way you can prevent this disease is to ensure that there is a good biosecurity measures. For example, the hygiene of feeders and drinkers must be must be at its peak. Make sure that before you bring in the birds in that farm, all the old drinkers and feeders must be thoroughly disinfected, thoroughly cleaned before introducing it in the new flock. Because if you don't do that, you might carry on the chronic respiratory diseases. And then another thing is that make sure that the feeds are not contaminated and the drinking water must also be clean, because this chronic respiratory disease can also be transmitted through the feeds. So make sure your birds drink clean water. Make sure your birds have clean uncontaminated feeds, even the feeds that have really taken long and have those bad smell, please. Because sometimes you can bring feeds and they end up taking long and they end up caking, or you can go to a store, buy feeds which have caked, which have bad smell. Please don't give those feeds to your birds. They might end up getting the chronic respiratory diseases. And then another way that you can prevent and protect your birds from getting these chronic respiratory diseases is make sure that you disinfect the chicken house after selling off the chicken before introducing any new flock. And at least the chicken house should stay for 3 weeks before bringing in another flock. Some of us farmers, we just sell off the birds like this week, and the next week we have brought in the new birds. That is not right. Even the broiler farmers, I know so many broiler farmers who will sell off their broilers today, and only 2-3 days, other birds are coming in that chicken house. That is really totally wrong. Make sure that that house at least should stay for 3 weeks when you're disinfecting it constantly to avoid the transmission of this chronic respiratory diseases. And then also another way you can prevent these diseases is that make sure that there is a foot bath at the entrance of your farm. This one, I've talked about it several times. Free entry and exit of your farm is really not safe for this project. That is one way that we shall manage poultry farming. Biosecurity is very, very important, okay? And then also make sure that you keep the litter dry, because the bacteria always multiply in the wet litter. I've talked about this. I've made videos about this. Guys, our poultry house should really be very, very dry, and the litter should be changed so often, like between 4 to 6 months. And if you're putting that litter in the chicken house, make sure that it is at least 6 inches down and it should be dry. And then another way that you're going to protect your birds from this disease is that avoid dusty houses. Some people's chicken houses are so dusty. If you enter there, you need a mask to enter inside the chicken house. If you, the owner, you really see it is dusty like that, and whenever you enter there, you start sneezing and coughing, how about the birds that are now spending the rest of their life there? So please make sure your chicken house is not so dusty. Make sure that you keep changing that litter. If you see it has taken so long and it's becoming so dusty, please change it immediately. Even the Sometimes you find that the walls are also so dusty. That is still not right. And then also another way is make sure that the chicken house is well ventilated and it is large enough for those birds. Because if the chicken house is also so congested, it is also another way of getting those CRDs. And if it is also not well ventilated, there is no free entry and exit of fresh air. It is also not good. So farmers, please let us really be so vigilant in protecting our birds from getting some of these chicken diseases. So let us look at the organic treatment for these chronic respiratory diseases. But I will not forget to remind you that make sure that your birds do not reach that stage of treatment, like when they are very sick. As a farmer, you should always check through your birds and make sure that they are not sick. If you see any signs and symptoms, try to address it at an early stage when the birds are not yet too weak, because sometimes you will try and you will end up not saving those birds. So the organic treatments that we shall need, first and foremost, we shall need the garlic, we shall need the ginger, we shall need turmerics, and then we shall need the chili pepper. I've talked about all this in the channel. For those who have not yet watched the videos about the benefits of all these organic remedies, please, I advise that go and watch the benefits. That's when you're going to understand their uses very well. So after getting all these organic remedies, make sure that you clean them very well, blend them together, mix with water, and give it to the birds. At least give them for 5 days. In that way, you'll be able to save those birds. But I will also continue and say, make sure that you use these herbal remedies as early as possible to prevent these birds from getting these diseases. And make sure that we do not put our birds in a state which can make them get these diseases. Let us try as much as possible to protect our birds from getting all these chicken diseases. So for today, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for loving me. Thank you so much for always coming back. And if you're still new, please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Click on the notification bell so that you never miss out any upload. Share this video, comment in the comment section down below, and I'll be so grateful. Tell me which country you're watching me from, and I'll be smiling. See you next time. Love you all. Bye-bye.